Hampton sound wall, Mr. Mayor.
Just in time. Thank you, Madam Chairman. What a glorious evening in the great city of Southgate. We pay our appreciation to some very special people who have represented us over the years. But I'll start by saying last meeting, I had the extreme pleasure to announce that the state of Michigan has allotted $6.5 million to construct a 25-foot high sound wall on the shoulder of the northbound I-75 adjacent to the Southampton subdivision. This award has been an immensely difficult process that began back on May 1st, 2019. On that evening, in this very room, Southampton residents Gary Martin, Leonard Stewart, and Charles Richardson spoke to the City Council about the unbearable increase in noise created by the recent resurfacing and bridge reconstruction on I-75 near Goddard Road. As a city, there was little, if anything, we could do about this issue. It was a MDOT project of which the city had no jurisdiction or budgetary influence. But what we could do was to try to bring awareness to the situation to those who could correct the problem. With the help of Mr. Martin, we organized a town hall meeting in June of 2019 at our municipal library. MDOT agreed to attend and discuss the project with the residents and try to explain why a northbound sound wall was not part of the project. We also invited our state representatives. At that time, we were represented by Senator Marshall Bullock and House Member Frank Liberati. Since this was an MDOT project funded through federal highway funds, we also invited U.S. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell. What we learned from that meeting was that MDOT's cookie-cutter approach to installing a sound wall did not include the Southampton subdivision because of the businesses located on Goddard put the subdivision just beyond the required distance for a sound wall. Adding to our frustration was the fact that the MDOT project included a sound wall on the southbound side or Allen Park side, but there was not sufficient funds to put one on the northbound Southgate side, even if they wanted to. This obviously did not sit well with the Southampton residents, our Michigan representatives, or my administration. Over the next several months, Senator Bullock and Representative Frank Liberati worked to secure funding for the wall. Since the original project was closed out, funding would now require a feasibility study to see if the area would support the construction of a wall and what impact it would have on addressing the sound issue. Numerous, and I mean numerous, meetings were convened with MDOT and other officials. Mr. Martin provided much needed data to assist with the effort, including personally purchasing a sound meter to record the decibel levels in the subdivision. By January of 2020, things were looking promising with our state representatives. Funds were being identified to fund the wall study. Unfortunately, within a few weeks' time, COVID-19 changed everything and derailed the possibility of identifying funds for this project. For the remainder of 2020 and well into 2021, very little progress was being made as we dealt with the pandemic. But that did not stop Gary Martin from continuing to remind our legislators about the importance of correcting the sound issue at Southampton subdivision. During the next 2 years, our state representatives changed due to term limits and redistricting. Tullio Liberati became our state representative in 2021. It wasn't long before he knew Gary Martin on a first-name basis. Fortunately, Tullio understood the issue and immediately continued to work to secure funding for the sound wall. It ultimately became his primary infrastructure project. Things started to gain momentum again in July 2022 when funding for this study was secured. The traffic noise analysis and engineering reviews were completed early this year, and MDOT concluded that a 25-foot high sound wall was structurally able to be constructed on the easement and that the wall would indeed provide noise abatement for the Southampton neighborhood and beyond. These were great conclusions, but funding for the actual wall was not part of the study. With study in hand, Representative Liberati once again led the effort to complete the job and secure funding for the construction of the wall. Current State Senator Darren Camilleri and State Representative Jamie Churches joined in that effort as well. Due to their collective efforts and one bulldog by the name of Gary, funding for the wall became a part of the 2024-25 State of Michigan budget, and it was signed into law by Governor Gretchen Whitmer last month. So tonight, we are here to acknowledge the elected officials who worked to correct an issue that was created by the 2019 I-75 MDOT project. It has been an incredible 5-year journey with numerous ups and downs, but through their collective efforts, they have secured the funding that will improve the quality of life for our residents and their constituents in the Southampton subdivision. I'd like to start out by giving some recognition to the early adopters of this project, and that is Senator Marshall Bullock and Representative Frank Liberati. And I'd like to call them up and give them a token of our appreciation. And I might add, in addition, I have a new coin that was developed for a challenge coin for the city of Southgate, and I'd like to present you with that as well. It's something I give to people that have really made an influence on our community, or people who visit us from various statutes. So that's part of the gift tonight too. But again, I'll read, and this will be consistent throughout here. Outstanding Advocacy Award presented to the representative that I'm presenting it to for leading the efforts to secure funding for the I-75 sound wall, presented this 21st day of August 2024 on behalf of the residents of the Southampton and the entire Southgate community. I always want to quote them. Okay, I've been in the middle before. And yeah, all right. Okay, excellent. Okay. Okay, stay up here. We're going to get everybody up here somewhat.
Right here, you can block me, that would be good.
Okay.
Oh, really serious, I'm serious.
The next is going to State Senator Darren Camilleri. Now, in trying to make sure everybody could make one evening, he really wanted to be here, but he's actually at the Democratic National Convention this week. So he couldn't, but he said, do not hold up the presentation on his part. But is his representative here? I don't see him. But we'll make sure Darren gets this. Next, I'd like to bring up State Representative Jamie Churches. Now, this is a very unique award because it's awarded to Representative Churches, but she doesn't represent the area where the sound wall goes. But in the last election, what happened, the Southgate was split into 2 representatives. And what was very nice is that she joined the effort, even though it wasn't directly her constituency that was done.
Oh, that was good.
And lastly, in terms of state representation, this gentleman, we talk about Gary being a bulldog. I think he learned it from Tulio, because Tulio really took what Frank started and what Marshall started and really made it a priority of his to see that this wall actually be constructed. So I'd like to have him up here too for his plaque and challenge going.
I want to say, I hope Mr. Martin gets an award, because I would get a call from the mayor maybe once a month, once every 2 months. Gary called me at least once every 2 weeks. I was desperate to get this wall for Gary, so I want you guys to know what an advocate you have. Really.
Okay, we got one more presentation and then, all right, yes, we have some acknowledgement for Gary too. He's a terrific advocate for his subdivision, but also a great representative for the the city of Southgate and all that he does for the community. He also serves on the commission, and really has been wonderful getting to know him in his 5 years. It really brought us together, and he really is an individual that's interested in making sure things get done and things get done correctly. So I would like to, as you come in here, you see the big check that we had a photo with at the site, but we created a smaller version for Gary that he can take home.
Frame it.
And we changed the comment or the memo slip to say Gary Martin's Home Improvement Project 2019-2020. No, there's
Oh,
a
it's bigger.
Wow. It's a much larger one, and this will be easier to keep, and I'm sure Connie will appreciate it smaller. Okay. Great. So we're gonna have everybody come up and we will,
Bobby Lawrence walked in.
Bobby, come on up here. Bobby was another advocate, worked for Senator Bullock, and we really appreciate him being here tonight. I want to present you with one of the challenge coins too from the city of Southgate and all the efforts that you did to get this state start rolling. Come on up here. Jerry, why don't you come here? Let's get started.
We can't have too many people on one.
All right. Okay, one second here. Jerry, since you don't have anything in your hand, you can help pull this. Or, yeah, that's it. Okay, excellent. Okay, thank you so much. It finally came true. It hard to believe 5 years later, but yeah.
Like the seaway?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Gary, you want to say? And Gary had indicated he wanted to say a few words. I'd like to invite him up to do that. You want to come to this side, and we'll hear from the guy who took this to the council and all the way up.
President,
Doesn't look right, Gary. We got to do this.
President, Southampton Subdivision Homeowners Association. I'd just like to thank everybody that was involved in this. I just want to name off a few people. Mayor Joseph Cuspa, City Administrator Dan Marsh. We are the Three Musketeers. Council President Sylvia Presley. House Representative Frank Liberati. Senator Marshall Bullock. House Representative Tulio Liberati. Chief of Staff Pastor Cecil. Senator Darren Cavallari. And House Representative Jamie Churches. This subdivision, always be thankful for everything that you've done. This has been a project for 5.5 years to get through. And I'll be done if we ever give up.
You do it.
There was one evening that, well, there's another person I think that's in my lifetime. She's been my support for the last 48 years. And this last year has been good trying. She actually wanted to get an injunction against me. She followed Judge Mullins. If you go, I couldn't say wall in the house. we worked through it. I was gonna actually call Ellen Selby and get some advice. I just threw my hands up. And I had to go out in the garage and I wanted to come. But there's some personal things I'd like to say that time is running out, maybe another time. However, we will always be thankful to people that helped us get this done. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, and yes, on behalf of the whole city council, thank you guys as well for all your great efforts, and also Gary and the whole subdivision too. You got it, Gary. Got it. We got it. Okay, we will move on to our officials reports. Mr. Mayor.
Madam Chairman, I can't make a better officials report than what we just had. So that was my official report for today. And I do want to acknowledge Gary had mentioned your participation in this. And as a young member of this council, I think you were on it maybe a month or two, the governor came to the DCC and I wasn't able to make it. So as council president, Zoe represented the city. And she had the chutzpah to actually bring up the wall to the governor at that meeting. So again, there was a lot of effort that went into this, but again, thanks everybody for their participation.
Thank you.
No report.
Mr. Treasurer,
No report.
Councilman Roush.
No report.
Congrats,
No report.
The school board did meet. They're back from their summer hiatus. They had some housekeeping things. They approved the student handbook for Anderson. Also, some playground equipment is going to go in at shelters and Grogan. And also, the first day of school is September 3rd. So please be patient as parents figure out their routes and kids get back in the classroom. Councilman George.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Southgate hosted the Downriver Senior Olympics last week. 342 seniors from 18 Downriver communities competed in 28 events. Councilman Ed Golick and I had the honor of lighting the Olympic torch at the opening ceremonies. Southgate came in third overall, winning 14 gold, 21 silver, 13 bronze, and congratulations to all of the Olympians. Southgate beat out all of what I call our sister cities. We beat Ellen Park, Trenton, Lincoln Park, Riverview, just to name a few. Brownstown Township was the overall winner. They came in number one. I attended most of the events, and everyone complimented on the great job that the city did. Thanks to all who assisted in making this event so successful, especially Julie Goddard, Diane Grabowski, Laura Walsh, and their staffs, and the many, many, many volunteers that we had. I would like to thank the mayor for his willingness to host this event. To date, no other city has volunteered to host next year's Senior Olympics. I might add that our mayor took first place in the car show. The Case Commission, to thank them for all their hard work over the summer to make the concerts in the park such a success. There has been a great turnout for all of them and very few rain days. The commission would like to send best wishes to Marion Boland and Beverly Sunday. Concerning the library, the 2024 youth and adult summer reading programs have concluded. Raffle prizes have been drawn, the winners have been contacted, and kids and teens who have not received their prizes and badges can still come in and get them through Thursday, August 29th. Thanks again to the hundreds of people who signed up for the programs and attended the events. The staff is working on fall programs, which will be announced when finalized, or you can access them on the webpage. And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Ayers Reese.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No meetings were held this month, so no report from me.
Thank you. Councilman Gollett.
Madam Chair, the Recreation Department Commission did meet last week, and resident concerns about Rotary Park have been addressed. The sign will be repaired, and the fence and the gate will be reinstalled as initially was intended. On the recreation millage, several exciting things going on. Cobb Park, for example, is working on the restoration right now after all of the work and the punch list items that are being completed. The McCann Park, the tot lot, will be installed in early October. Waverly Park, again, restoration and punch list items are being worked on. At Kiwanis Park, there's going to be a sidewalk planned from Lowe's all the way to the corner of Leroy and Trenton Road. In the South Winds Clubhouse, drawings are complete and a new design is being worked on, and I'm sure that'll come before us next year probably. And then tonight, for example, we'll work on the Police Auxiliary Park bid, and they'll be on our agenda for approval this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marsh, please, for the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first item under consideration of bids is for the 2024-2025 Water and Street Fund Pavement Repair Program. The administration received qualifying bids from 10 contractors, with GV Cement submitting the lowest bid. The administration recommends awarding GV Cement the bid for a 2-year period. Are there any questions from council? Okay, seeing none, the next item is for landscaping materials for the Southgate Tower Park and Bridge ARPA project. By pre-purchasing the landscaping materials, we'll avoid any supply chain issues that may come as the contractors want to plant later this fall or early this spring. And also pre-purchasing the plant materials helps us meet all the requirements laid out in the Wayne County grant agreement. The goal is to have everything completed by the summer of 2025 to coincide with the opening of the Bank Tower Apartments. Therefore, the administration is recommending Superior Landscaping Companies for the award. Are there any questions from council? Okay, seeing none. The next item is for a new obstacle course playground equipment at Police Auxiliary Park, also called Mulberry Park. This project is partially funded by the Wayne County Recreation Millage. The administration recommends awarding the bid to Pentura of Brighton, Michigan. Pentura provided the lowest of 3 bids received. Are there any questions from council? Next is the bids for general carpentry work. The administration received 3 bids: Rally Point Partners, CNS Construction Management, and Allied. The administration is recommending approving all 3 vendors, with Rally Point Partners as the primary. This strategy will allow the city to quickly address any issues that come up in the event city contractor is not immediately available. Rally Point will always be the preferred and first used, but in cases of repair is needed to be made quickly and they cannot immediately address it, we'll have a second and third alternate vendor to assign the work to. This method of awarding vendors in a specific order awarding multiple vendors in a specific order, that's been used successfully in other communities. Are there any questions from council?
Madam Chair,
Councilman George.
where are they located?
Rally Point is, I believe that they're located out of Ann Arbor, or the Ann Arbor, if they look on there.
Their prices were quite a bit lower than the others, so I hope that they're able to complete
Yeah, that's
what we need. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'll move on to the scheduled hearing items. We have two scheduled hearings for the demolition of 2 fire damaged buildings: the old Alibi Bar on Eureka and a garage in the backyard on DeVoe Street. Regarding the Alibi Bar, a special hearing, I sent to council communications earlier today stating that there is a third party now stating ownership of the property. After discussing this with Ed, we think it's best that after we open the public hearing tonight, that we adjourn it and reconvene on September 18th. That way all parties of interest and all parties of record have an opportunity to be heard and speak at the public hearing. So if council concurs with that, during the public hearing, a motion would just be made to adjourn and then reconvene at the regularly scheduled meeting on September 18th. Okay, if there's no questions, I'll go on to communications A. The first item under,
Councilman Gollard.
Mr. Marsh, is the motion that we got this evening, is that replace the initial one?
yeah, I'm sorry, I gave you all an updated letter there, I didn't mention it there. I placed before you an updated letter that would have an updated motion. That motion is for the house on DeVoe, the garage in the house on DeVoe. So that is the first item under communications A is the demolition of the garage at 12071 DeVoe. And again, I've provided that updated copy there with an updated proposed motion.
Yeah, as for the language for the Eureka one, I'll help you guys out, whoever makes that motion.
Yeah, and I'll just say too, given those recent updates, when it comes to that item under communications A, we would just recommend just tabling that until the September 18th meeting.
Right.
That way all parties have an opportunity to be heard. The third item under Communications A is regarding a DDA liquor license for Hopcat. I received a call yesterday from a representative from Hopcat. They are still working on their lease for the property, and they've asked us to table that motion as well, or table that item as well until the September 4th meeting. I do believe they're going to be sending a representative down too, so if there's any questions, there will be someone from Hopcat to answer those.
Just mention that's the former Old
Former
Chicago.
Old Chicago.
Yeah, that would, Hopcat is interested and they're working on a lease in the Old Chicago building on Trenton Road, former Old Chicago. Item 4 under Communications A is,
Chair,
Councilwoman Ayers Reese,
so are we gonna do that the same as, like, just
table.
making a motion to table?
just to
to
table it, yeah,
Okay,
yep.
thanks.
Yeah, you got it. Next is the mayor's appointment of Jake Orman to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a term expiring December 2024. This appointment is to fill the vacancy created by the departure of Dennis Richardson. Any questions on that item? Okay. The fifth item under Communications A is a request for change order number 2 for the Schools and Parks Signage and Striping Award to J Rank Electric. This is for for a scope of work change. We're requesting it to now include 500 feet of pavement markings on Reek Road at the Reek and North Line intersection. Those pavement markings have deteriorated and we've identified it as a safety concern. So we're requesting that they add those pavement markings back in. Are there any questions from council? Okay, the final item under Communications A is approval of the intergovernmental agreement, or IGA, with Wayne County. This is a resolution, or a resolution approving that agreement is required to receive that Wayne County Parks millage money that is then going to be used to help pay in part the obstacle course going in at Police Auxiliary Park. Are there any questions from council on that item? Okay, the final item on tonight's agenda is under Communications B, and that is just the list of interview questions for the council vacancy that were previously approved by council. It's just a receive and file item. Okay, if there's no other questions, that is all. Thank you.
All right, we'll reconvene.
Madam Chair, just
Oh, Mr.
I-
Zelnick.
if I may, the proper term would be to refer it to the next agenda, whether you use Robert's Rules of Order or Julia Roberts' Rules of Order. It would be to refer, not to table, because then you could take it off the table tonight or any other time. So not to conflict, and no one really cares about those rules nowadays. You can call whatever you want, but the proper term would be to refer it to the next agenda or the date of the meeting. And
motion to-
council motion to refer.
Okay.
And we talked 100 times today, but I didn't clarify that language. And quite frankly, I don't know of anybody, unless they really get a stick stuck somewhere, that brings up, that's not proper under Robert's Rules of Order, but I thought I'd tell you ahead of time so you know I'm not sleeping here all the time. Thank you.
I
Thank
won't bring
you.
it up.
All right,
For you in the
with
lobby.
that, we'll reconvene at 7 o'clock.
Sorry, Dan, I should have.
That's okay. That's.
With the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Okay.
Sorry. Sit down first.
Councilman George.
Here.
Councilman Roush.
Here.
Councilman Ayers Reese.
Present.
Councilman Gollak.
Here.
Councilman Graziani.
Present.
Councilman Cuspa.
Here. And a motion to approve the work study meeting minutes dated August 7th, 2024.
Madam Chair,
Councilman George.
I move that we approve the work study meeting minutes dated August 7th, 2024.
Support.
Motion by George, supported by Ayers Reese. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the regular city council meeting minutes dated August 7th, 2024.
Madam Chairman,
Councilman Roush.
I make a motion, we approve the regular city council meeting, August 7th, 2024.
Support.
Motion by Roush, supported by Ayers Reese. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. There are no scheduled persons in the audience. The first item under consideration of bids is a letter from the mayor regarding the bid for 24-25 Water and Street Fund Pavement Repair Program. Madam Clerk.
I have reviewed the above and concur with the city engineer's recommendation to award the bid for the 2024-25 Water Fund and Street Fund Pavement Repair Program to GV Cement Contracting Company of Brownstown for a 2-year period in the amount of $1,685,705.91, plus a 10% contingency in the amount of $168,570.59 for a total fund of $1,854,276.50. Funds for this bid award are available in the Water and Sewer Fund and the Street Fund. Your favorable consideration of this matter is requested.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Madam Chair,
Councilman George.
I move that we award the bid for the 2024-25 pavement repair program to GVC Cement Contracting Company, Brownstown, Michigan, in the amount of $1,685,705.91 plus contingency in the amount of $1,680,750.59 for a total amount of $1,854,276.50.
Motion by George, supported by Golick. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. Next is a letter from the mayor regarding the bid for landscape plant material. Madam Clerk.
Bids for the landscape plant material were received and reviewed by the administration. It is recommended by city engineer, and I concur to award this bid to Superior Landscape Companies of Ypsilanti in the amount of $176,205.75, plus a 20% contingency for storage and maintenance of landscape material in the amount of $35,241.15 for a total amount of $211,446.90. Funding for this agreement will be provided by the Wayne County ARPA Funds Grant. Your favorable consideration of this matter is greatly appreciated.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Through the chair.
Councilman Ayers Reese.
I make a motion that we award the bid for Southgate Tower Park and Pedestrian Bridge Project, landscape plant materials to Superior Landscape Companies in the amount of $176,205.75. Jesus, oh my gosh. Plus 20% contingency in the amount of $35,241.15 for a total amount of $211,446.90.
Support.
Motion by Ayers Reese, supported by George. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. Next is a letter from the mayor regarding the bid for obstacle course playground equipment. Madam Clerk.
Bids for obstacle course playground equipment were received and reviewed by the administration. It is recommended by Parks and Rec Director, and I concur to award this bid to Pentura of Brighton in the amount of $69,117.20. This was the lowest bid received. Funding for this agreement will be provided by the Wayne County Parks Millage Fund grant in the amount of $58,500. The balance of $10,617.20 will be funded from the city's Parks and Recreation Millage Fund. Your favorable consideration of this matter is greatly appreciated.
What's the pleasure of council?
Madam Chair,
Councilman George.
I move that we award the bid for the Police Auxiliary Park, also known as Mulberry Park, Obstacle Course Playground Equipment Project to the low bidder, Ventura, in the amount of $69,117.20, with funding to be provided by Wayne County Parks Millage Fund, grant in the amount of $58,500, and the city's Park and Recreation Millage Fund in the amount of $10,617.20.
Support.
Motion by George, supported by Golick.
Madam Chair?
Councilman George.
Just a comment for the public. This is going to be a ninja-style course play area, and I'm looking forward to it. The ninja, I watch it on TV. It's very popular right now, and I do believe that there's a house in that area that has a course in its backyard. I haven't stopped, but my grandson happened to spot it. So I'm glad this is coming to Southgate. They're going to get a lot of exercise.
Any further discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. Last, under consideration of bids is a letter from the mayor regarding the bid for carpentry repairs. Madam Clerk.
Bids for carpentry repairs and construction were received and reviewed by the administration. It is recommended by the DPS director, and I concur to award this bid with Rally Point Partners of Ann Arbor being the primary contractor at the following rates. Rally Point Partners is journeyman $27.35 an hour Monday and Friday, $43.54 an hour weekends and holidays. Labor, $21.82 an hour Monday through Friday, and $32.17 an hour on weekends and holidays. CNS Construction Management, journeyman, $55 an hour Monday and Friday, $78 an hour weekends and holidays. Labor, $42 an hour Monday and Friday, $63 an hour weekends and holidays. Allied, journeyman, $70 an hour Monday and Friday, $70 an hour weekends and holidays. Laborer, $60 an hour Monday and Friday, $60 an hour weekends and holidays. Adequate funds are budgeted in various department accounts for this agreement. Your favorable consideration of this matter is greatly appreciated.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Ayers Reese.
I make a motion that we award the bid for a 2-year period expiring August 21st, 2020.
Should that be 26, Mr.
Yeah,
Clerk?
I'm looking at this like, what?
Yeah, sorry,
So, for
2026.
2000 I can still
Great
say it.
catch. No, that's good. Appreciate that. It should read 2026. That's correct.
Okay. Expiring August 21st, 2026 to Rally Point Partners, Ann Arbor, Michigan, as the primary contractor for carpentry services at the rates per their bid proposal, and award bids to CNS Construction Management second and Allied third as backup contractors at the rates per their respective bid proposals.
Support.
Motion by Ayers Reese, supported by Golick. Any discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilman George.
There's such a discrepancy between the primary and the other two companies. Do you know why?
Yeah, through the chair, what I would suspect is that this is a smaller operation, and so the labor is actually be provided by the principal of the company. When you get into larger companies like CNS or Allied, that they're going to be subcontracting some of that work when they do different jobs.
Since they're in Ann Arbor, though, I hope that they're able to make it because there's such a big difference there.
Yeah, I did look up just journeyman pricing, the average journeyman pricing, and it's on the lower end, but it's not kind of off that scale. So it didn't raise too much of a red flag. It wasn't like, well, this is, how can you do this? It's still kind of in that same range of what average journeyman would make in Michigan. That being said, the DPS did contact references and everything checked out, so they did provide that recommendation.
Okay, thank you so much.
Madam Chair, the other thing I would like to mention is this is kind of a new kind of proposal to council. We generally don't do it in this fashion, but over the years, we've seen other service providers such as a tree cutter and the grass cutting comes to mind off the bat that, they failed to meet their obligations, and we'd like to have a backup, especially if it's a carpentry issue.
Any further discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. We have 2 scheduled hearings. The first one is the demolition of 12071 DeVoe. Madam Clerk, do you need to read that memo, or are we good for it would just be for the Communications A, correct?
Attorney, should we read it?
Would it fall under the scheduled?
Right, just call the hearing to order. Just call the hearing to order and see if there are any comments. Then
I would need a motion to open the scheduled hearing on the demolition of 12071 DeVoe.
Madam Chairman,
Councilman Roush.
I make a motion, we go into scheduled hearing for demolition of 12071 DeVoe.
Support.
Motion by Roush, supported by Ayers Reese. Any discussion or objection? The public hearing is now open regarding this issue. Is there any comments from administration, council, or the public? Seeing none,
ask one more time, inquire if anyone's here from the public
I'm
to
sorry.
address, because just.
Oh,
inquire.
anyone from the public that would like to make a comment regarding this issue? Or raise a concern? Okay. I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing regarding the demolition of 12071 DeVoe.
Madam Chairman,
Councilman Roush.
I make a motion, we close the public hearing for 12071 DeVoe.
Motion by Roush, supported by Ayers Reese. Any discussion or objection? Public hearing is closed. Next is, I need a motion to open a public hearing on the demolition of 19364 Eureka.
Madam Chair,
Councilman
I
George.
move that we open the public hearing for the demolition at 19364 Eureka.
Support.
Motion by George, supported by Golick. Any discussion or objection? Public hearing is now open. Any comments from council, administration, or the public? Does the public have any concerns or comments regarding this? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing today and reconvene during the September 18th regularly scheduled council meeting.
Madam Chair,
Councilwoman Ayers Reese.
I make a motion to adjourn the public hearing today and reconvene during the September 18th regularly scheduled council meeting.
Support.
Motion by Ayers Reese, supported by Roush. Any discussion?
Madam,
Oh.
Madam Chairperson, the clerk has a question saying,
Madam Clerk.
she whispered you can't.
It's the hearing, and we have it down under Communications A, and I thought no action, just.
They're
leave
not
it
taking
on.
any
This
action.
is
They're
for
going
the
to
scheduled
continue the
hearing.
hearing itself.
Okay.
Yeah,
They're
I
gonna
think to
apologize.
reconvene at the next meeting.
Because you
Is that a
can't close.
concern?
Yeah, we do not.
Yeah, it's to
Position administration,
reconvene.
they don't want it closed.
Okay.
They want to continue it, see if there's any further comment.
Good.
Okay, so I had a motion by Ayers Reese, supported by Roush. Any discussion or objection? Now, adjourned, and we'll reconvene at a later date. The first item under Communications A is a memo from the administrator regarding the demolition of 12071 DeVoe. Madam Clerk.
Oops, where am I at? Wait, now I'm going to read this letter.
That's what happens when you ask questions.
Well, yeah, and you work hard. On July 17th, 2024, the Dangerous Buildings Board met to discuss a garage located at 12071 DeVoe. The garage sustained fire damage and has been classified as a dangerous building. The Dangerous Buildings Board recommended that the garage be demolished. The administration recommends the City Council affirm the recommendation of the Dangerous Building Board to have the garage demolished. Charges for demolition will be billed to the property owner, and if not paid, the charges will be placed as a lien on the property.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Madam Chairman,
Councilman Roush.
I make a motion to affirm the recommendation of the Dangerous Building Board and to authorize the administration to demolish the garage located